Have you ever wondered why some countries have, way more government rules than others, or why something like healthcare is free here in Canada, but maybe not somewhere else? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the basic blueprints societies use to organize themselves. It explains a lot. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the one single problem that every society has to deal with. Then, we'll check out two totally different ways to solve it. And finally, we'll see how pretty much every country lands somewhere in the middle, on both an economic and a political spectrum.
All right, let's kick things off with what we call the basic economic problem. This whole thing, everything we're about to talk about, starts with one simple truth that affects every single one of us every single day.
Think about it for a second. You want a new phone, you want those new sneakers, and that new video game just dropped. But chances are, you can't get all three right now. You have to make a choice. And that simple idea that we just can't have everything we want all the time is honestly the most important concept in all of economics. So there's a name for this problem. It's called scarcity. It's the fact that we humans have unlimited wants. We always want more stuff, but we live on a planet with limited resources. There's only so much time, so much money, and so much stuff to go around. And that basic conflict is what every economy is trying to figure out. So because of scarcity, every single society, no exceptions, has to answer three huge questions. Number one, what are we going to make with the limited stuff we have? Number two, how are we going to make it? And number three, probably the trickiest one, who gets all the cool stuff once we've made it? The way a country answers these three questions, that's what defines its economic system.
So how do societies go about answering those three big questions? Well, historically, two major and almost polar opposite ideas have emerged. Let's dig into those now. First up, we've got capitalism. You might also hear this called a market economy. The main idea here is that individuals, people like you and me, and private companies own all the resources, the factories, the farms, the stores, and they decide what to make based on what they think people will buy and what will earn them a profit. The government, it mostly stays out of the way.
There is this super famous economist, Adam Smith, who just nailed this idea. He basically said, look, we get our dinner not because the baker is a super nice guy, but because the baker wants to make money for himself. It's a cool idea, right? In a capitalist system, all of society's needs get met because millions of people are all just looking out for their own interests. Okay, now on the complete other side of the coin, you have a command economy. Sometimes it's called a planned economy. In this system, the government is the one in the driver's seat. A central group of planners decides everything, what gets made, how it gets made, and who gets it. And this right here gets to the huge philosophical difference between them. Capitalism is all about individualism. The idea is that it's up to you to succeed or fail. It's about personal responsibility. Command economies, on the other hand, are based on collectivism. The idea there is that the whole community, usually through the government, is responsible for taking care of everybody.
Now, you've probably heard the words socialism and communism thrown around, and they get mixed up all the time. They're both on that collectivist side, but there's a pretty big difference. To put it simply, socialism is generally about from each according to their ability to each according to their contribution. Basically, what you get is tied to how much you work. Communism, at least in its purest ideal form, is from each according to their ability to each according to their need. So what you get isn't based on your job, but on what you need to live. But here's the thing. In the real world, it's not like countries just pick box A or box B. It's way more useful to think of all this as a spectrum, a long line with pure capitalism at one end and a pure command economy at the other. So if you look at this spectrum, think of it like this. The more you move to the left, the more government control you get. That's collectivism. The more you move to the right, the more individual freedom and private ownership you have. That's individualism. And as you can see, almost nobody is at the absolute ends. Most countries are somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so we've got the economic spectrum. And what's really interesting is that there's a political spectrum that works in a kind of similar way. But this one's less about money and more about how a society feels about social change.
You've heard the terms left-wing and right-wing, right? Well, generally speaking, the left is all about pushing for social change and believes the government should play a bigger role in making society better. The right, on the other hand, tends to value tradition and stability and usually wants a smaller, more limited role for the government. They often want to keep things the way they are, the status quo. So after looking at both of these spectrums, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, so which one is the best one? But the truth is, you'd be really hard-pressed to find any country today that's at the absolute extreme end of either spectrum.
And this is probably the most important thing to take away from this whole explainer. Almost every single country on Earth today has what we call a mixed economy. That means they take some ideas from the capitalist side and some ideas from the command side and smush them together. They're trying to get the best of both worlds.
Canada is a perfect example. We totally have a free market. You can start your own business, go work for a big company. That's the capitalist side. But we also have public schools and public healthcare that are paid for by everyone's taxes for the good of the whole group. That's the collectivist side. See? It's a mix. All right, let's do a super quick recap. The big ideas to remember are: scarcity is the basic problem everyone has to solve. Capitalism and command economies are two totally different ways to try and solve it. All these ideas can be mapped out on a spectrum from left to right. And in the real world, just about everybody is a mixed economy, grabbing ideas from both sides.
Okay, time for a quick check-in to see if that all landed. First question for you. What's that one-word term for the big fundamental problem that every single economy is built to solve?
And for the last one, let's get you thinking a little bigger. Using that idea of a spectrum, how would you explain to someone why Canada is called a mixed economy? Try to think of one example from your life that shows the capitalist side and one that shows the collectivist side.